Hi, and welcome to the Virtuoso Podcast. My name is Theophil Asamoah-Jedu, and I'm the founder and artistic director of Gramophone Ghana. I'm also the conductor of Gramophone Chorus and as well the director of Gramophone Academy of Music, and now the host of the Virtuoso Podcast. This is a platform where we are going to be having conversations with virtuosi, people who have gained mastery in some aspect of music. We're also going to delve into issues about life and talk about their life's journey. We're going to take some nuggets from them about how they have lived their lives and how art music and choral music can impact our society. And so we'd appreciate it if you would like and subscribe to our channel so you can get more content like this. It will also help us reach more people and keep you up to date when we send in a new episode. So welcome aboard, and we hope you enjoy our conversations. Welcome to the Virtuoso Podcast. Professor Clement Insedu APPAH. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Theo.
It's good to see you.
Good to see you too.
As always.
Yeah.
And welcome to the Virtuoso Podcast.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to be here.
Linguist, lecturer, researcher, transgenerational leader, singer, songwriter, composer, musician. Are these accurate?
That's a lot, but yeah, yes.
It's such a pleasure to have you.
Thank you for having me.
Happy birthday, belated.
Thank you. Yeah.
Our guests don't know, but you have your birthday the same day as James Barry-Kama's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When we are 10 years apart.
10 years apart. He was 40 and you are 50.
Yeah.
That's remarkable. Two great men born on the same day.
Yeah.
People don't know that you are much of a musician.
Yes. So you remember I released something on my birthday.
Yes.
And since then people have been asking, so have you always been a musician? I tell them that actually, were it not for academic work, I'll be a full-time musician.
Yeah. People don't know that you are an avid composer with a plethora of songs.
Yeah.
Very soon they'll hear them.
Actually, even though I've been doing academic work, I chose academic work over music about 22 years ago. I've got more songs written than academic papers.
That's remarkable.
Yeah.
That's remarkable. How many songs do you have on there, if you can hazard a guess?
I don't know, but the answer I usually give is that I've got enough to record about 10 albums.
Wow.
With a minimum of 8 songs on each one.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Wow. Yeah, we have a project coming up too.
Absolutely.
To let the world hear more of your songs.
Yeah.
But let's take it back.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that you can tell a lot about a person from their background, their upbringing, their childhood.
Yeah.
Prof, tell us about your upbringing.
Okay, so I was born in Secondary, and basically did just preschool and class 1 in Secondary. And then, because my father was in Tamale, then we went to Tamale. So basically, a lot of the music that I got introduced to was in church, and we had a very interesting community in Tamale. All the church choirs were united. They rehearsed together, Presby, Anglican, all of them, from time to time. So from primary school, I was basically leading songs in church till I got to the age 13, thereabout, and I joined the senior choir. I had to join the senior choir because there was no junior choir at the time.
Okay.
So when I roped to the senior choir, I was just about 13 or 14 years old. Yeah. So that is how it was. Whilst doing the regular choir music, choral music, I was also part of a group that we formed called the Wesleyan Envoys.
Okay.
Wesleyan Envoys. I think that's what we call
In
it.
Secondary?
No.
Okay.
Wesleyan Envoys. I think, late Mr. Abraham's
Mr. Abraham.
son, Niadokwe Abrahams.
Yes.
Yeah, so when they were transferred to Tamale, in the
this
youth
Tamale.
fellowship, we started this group. Niadokwe Abraham, one Sylvia Champong, who is now in Tema, and some other people who started that. And so we were singing contemporary. So that is how I got introduced to what is now contemporary music. Because we used to sing a lot of Joyful Way songs.
Okay.
And interestingly, I learned and I could just pick any Joyful Way song and be in key.
Wow.
Doing parts that then I didn't know it was TV Olamte who did.
Okay.
Yeah. So all those songs, I sort of led them. And so that is how I got introduced to both what is traditional choral and then what is now we call contemporary. So I got introduced to all these genres, if you like. Because I was very interested in music, but music is in the family.
Oh, indeed.
That is something that I have not mentioned.
Yeah, and a couple of years ago, we were in Second D, Wesley Cathedral, for your father's funeral.
Yes.
And he was a chorister, right?
Yes. My father was a chorister for more than 50 years.
Wow.
He was also a singing band member and actually rose to become the national president of the singing band.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, in 1990 or so. Yeah, he became the national president. So my father was a chorister, singing band member, singing band master, choir master, every position that one could hold up to the assistant level in the choir he held, and every position that one could hold up to the connectional level in the singing band, my father held. But going back, my father's father, whom we never met because he died quite early when my father was very young, he was a band master in with the Ghana Railway Corporation, I think that's what it's called. So he was a band master. He was a professional musician, band master.
Okay. It's like
so it's the music is in the
marching
the family.
band sort of thing.
Yeah. So those days they had proper bands, especially the railways, Ghana Airways. I think all those they had proper bands. The mines as well. And he was a band master. My mom too was a chorister.
So do you think that your parents being into music, you think it influenced you?
Yes, and I think it's in the blood, if you like. For us, joining the choir was like one of the rites of passage. You had to be in the choir. It was only one of my brothers who initially said he wouldn't join the choir because they couldn't find his voice on the keyboard. But interestingly, he became a chorister. He even now plays the keyboard better than I do.
Oh,
He became even the Tamale diocesan, chairman of Gamek.
Okay.
Yeah, Henry APPAH. He's the one I come after.
Oh, okay.
He initially said they couldn't find his voice on the keyboard.
Wow.
And I think that my elder sister Sylvia, Samuelina Sylvia APPAH, is one of the most powerful alto singers you would ever hear. I mean, it doesn't matter how many people you have in the room. Once she starts singing, you hear her voice. You know what I mean? Some of us don't like those loud voice, but she's her, and her alto is so natural and distinct. So it's in the blood.
You know, speaking to James, speaking to you, and from my own experience, right, I get the sense that their parents or family have a role to play in bringing up musicians. You know, we run an academy here, and we notice that the students whose parents are involved in ensuring their practice and ensuring that their interest is piqued do better than those whose parents are more laid back about it. What do you think?
I mean, it's to be expected that the Bible says, train up a child the way you want him to go, and when he grows, he will not depart from it. There are some of us who are so lax about things that if you don't get encouraged, sometimes pushed, you will not do anything. So the involvement of parents is always important for proper development and really excelling in anything. And when that is lacking, you know it. The person may be very talented, but may not achieve the highest that he or she could because there was no support for it. So parental involvement is very, very important.
Yeah, that's great. I noticed that your generation of young people, especially in the universities, you laid a solid foundation. And I came to Legon and heard about you, and the exploits your generation had done in building choirs and generally promoting wholesome music. Can you tell us about that, your youth and where music lies, the university days and so on?
So I came to Lagos in '95. When we came, I met people like Kojo Jemfi. I'll tell you who Kojo Jemfi is later on. Maybe I should just say it. He was the one who was actually in charge of project at Lutheran, St. Paul's Lutheran.
Okay.
So all the huge facilities that you see in Ghana, he had in his hand in them.
Oh,
He
wow.
indeed transformed them. So that gives you an idea of who he was. So when we entered, I think that we were really very enthusiastic about what we were doing. We were very young, and we didn't have too many things to think about. I know someone who said that when they got to, they were friends, two of them. When they got to Lagos, even before they knew where they were going to sleep, they were asking for the singing groups on campus. One of them already knew about Choosing Versus Choir. So she had already started asking about where Choosing Versus CVC meets, right? And she keeps saying this one, this Felicia.
Yes, Felicia Jemfi.
So when we came, we really were, I think we were on fire too. We were on fire. We wanted an outlet for this, and we sort of found the outlets in the choirs that we met for two reasons. Some of the choirs we met were not really that good. But coming from where we're coming from, I had been exposed to pure classical music. I had even learned to conduct Handel's Messiah because I knew it from beginning to the end. I mean, when my father wasn't around, I'll stand on the center table and be conducting the whole thing, you know.
Yeah.
And I also been introduced to joyful way kind of music. So you would say I was quite versatile. And I think God is giving me the grace of leadership as well. So when things aren't moving well, there's something moves me, you know, and I want to get involved. So when we came, MPU choir then was okay, but it wasn't a great choir. So when we entered, we met people like Kojo Jemfi, who was also really enterprising. He brought the idea of Hallelujah Festo.
Oh, okay.
Now, he was playing for MPU. He was also playing for Choosing Vessels Choir. That was something that was unique at the time. So there was nothing like we do contemporary, you do choral. No. Kojo Jemfi plays Handel's Messiah beginning to end without looking into a book. I mean, he was New Love's contemporary from
Okay.
a little older, I think, than New Love, but from Kumasi. So they knew each other, right? And he was also playing for Choosing Verses because he was that good. And then I think Jeffrey Ano of Joyful Way was also there playing for MPU choir and playing for Choosing Verses choir, playing for the mass choir. So this I say dichotomy of between what is purely choral and what is purely, I should say, contemporary wasn't there. People enjoyed music for what it was, even though we knew if we went to mass choir, you sang songs by Oslo Gospel Choir or the guys in New York, what they call the Brooklyn Tabernacle Choir. You know, these were the songs you were singing. Alvin Slaughter, Ron Kenoli. And so when Kojo Jemfi took over MPU choir, he understood music generally, broadly construed. So even for the first Halifesto, we were doing Ronkin songs, and we're doing Handel's Messiah, songs from Handel's Messiah, right? And that was the nature. So the MPU choir was actually called the Dynamic MPU Choir, because we did everything, and we excelled in all of it. And because we were sort of moving around and we knew everything, it was easy for us to build some kind of solid structure so that people were, if you like, musicians and not just choral musicians or that. Yeah. So
yeah, I think James also alluded to this, that when he started composing, he got to the peak of his composition while he was in university, and he didn't understand why there was music that was determined to be purely contemporary and music that was determined to be purely choral. And so he tried to find the blend, and it sold with the youth at the time. And indeed, I think his compositions have. I've also noticed a similar trait in your work, and I think from what you've told us about your background, I think it tells. It's interesting because I was the last director. In fact, I was assistant director because in my time, the directorship went to the Presby.
Yeah.
So I was the last director or assistant director of MPU choir before MPU became no more. And this is going to be a thorny issue, but I want you to speak about that. Have the denominations been better off with the dissolution of MPU choir? Of MPU.
Of MPU, yes. I mean, that's the impression people sort of have or want to create. But from where I sit, it's not true. Because, first of all, MPU was the most respected organization on campus. To the extent that if MPU decided on anything, the university respected it. Before the formation of the Jubilee Choir, it was MPU Choir that was performing at university functions.
Indeed.
And so basically, MPU was the ish of the Christian community on campus, and everybody respected MPU. But I hear the various traditions or the unions or the partners thought that their members were not being trained in their straight way, the way they wanted it, not in the purely Methodist way, purely Presby way, the way they wanted it, so they needed to split. It turns out this had been a long-standing agenda of some people. But I don't think that it was a good idea because we lost our position. At the time, as I said, we were the most respected on campus. One reason people thought they should break because they thought that their members were many on campus, but when they met, they were not seeing all of them. And they would point to the fact that even now, when Gamsu meet, they are about 800, the Noobsg is about that number. But from where I sit, because even now, they set up together, worship one after the other. So Noobsg will go from 7:30 to 9:30, and then Gamsu will worship after that. And this is what they do. So
Use
Gamsu
the same
set
equipment.
up. Yeah, Gamsu set up this week. The following week, Noobsg will set up, and they keep their stuff in my garage. Right. And so maybe there were issues that needed to be dealt with. So those were the issues they should have dealt with, and not the breaking up of the union. Yeah, because now we've lost so much because of that. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and I think the little I'll add is that it was sad for me because our impact as a union was beyond
Yeah.
the denominations, because there were people who used to come to campus from other churches
Yes.
who enjoyed our service
Yeah.
and would attend.
Yeah.
And
Let me say that
Yeah.
there were Anglicans who would come to Lutherans came to MPU. Anglicans came there. So people of all kinds of denominations came there for various reasons. One of them, because the time we met was convenient for them. Where we met, the central cafeteria, was also convenient for them. And the kind of thing we did was so welcoming because naturally it was two unions coming together, so we needed to accommodate all kinds of things, and that is what created the kind of ambience people wanted, So we've lost quite a bit.
Yeah, we have.
Yeah.
We have. Let's move on. Because it's an emotional issue for both of us. So
That's right.
let's move on. So I think your virtuosity lies in your appreciation of the use of language in writing music and in writing in general. By all means, you are a linguist by profession. Is that the right expression?
Yeah, that's it.
Yes. Tell us what I think musicians out there need to know, what the role of language is in music.
Okay, so music itself is a language. Right, to start with, music itself is a language, to the extent that even if you don't speak whatever language it is written in, you can still appreciate music for what it is. So music itself, but music is usually carried through a certain medium, right, which is a language. Now, every language has a structure. So if you're writing music in a certain language and you don't understand the structure of the language, then it feels like putting your right shoe on the left foot. Right? You'll still be wearing the shoe, all right, but it will not be comfortable. And I find quite a bit of that. People write songs in English and this is she dressed in English, right? Or they write she, and you know that the person is actually thinking like an English speaker, all right? Because languages have got structure. The syllable structure, even a combination of sounds, an appreciation of the structure of a particular language makes it easy for you to write in that language. And I think that the one who epitomizes the usefulness of understanding the structure of language most is Professor Nketia, late Professor Nketia. He introduced the idea of writing language that mimics the structure of the spoken language. Right? And Ahmad does quite well with that.
Yes, he does.
So if you listen to the song Oye, right, it's like you speaking. Oye, Oye, Mekra, sorry, Tunyum, Se, Oye. And that is how the structure. So someone who doesn't know this, and even who may know it, who might know it, but may decide that they are thinking like English speakers, will not do this. So you hear people sing song, oh yeah, oh yeah. I mean, you are sounding cool, but that's not it. But if you said, oh yeah, Mekra, sorry, Tonyum, say oh yeah, the one listening to you doesn't struggle to hear what you're saying. Right? They don't struggle to appreciate what you're saying, the message to start with, and even are hearing you beyond the sounds. Right? Okay. So I think it's called ethnomusicology. Ethnomusicology, ethno has something to do with the ethnicity, the source of the language, the structure of the language. And Professor Nketia was a trained linguist. Who didn't know that?
Oh, indeed.
He's a trained linguist.
Okay.
So his first, I hear he was a catechist, but he was a trained linguist. So if you count the trained linguist, he was one of the first, right? And so when he wrote Adansi, I say Adansi Krong Krong, Adansi Turodo, It's like him speaking to you. And so when you sing that song, everybody appreciates it. So knowledge of the language helps you. But aside understanding the structure of the language, in linguistics, we study what say that makes it possible for people to speak. Starting with how you breathe. For there to be the production of sound, there must be what we call airstream. There must be some air moving from your lungs, which is initiated by something called the intercostal muscle, and then the diaphragm. They push, right? One pushes up, the rib cage falls and pushes the air out. The air that is coming gets into your what is called the Adam's apple, the larynx, where the vocal folds are there. If there's something that goes on called phonation, that's what gives you what is called pitch. All right. Then it gets into your oral cavity. There, the organs of speech, otherwise called articulators, interact to produce the sound. That's what we call articulation. So we say articulate well. That's what it means. Use the articulators in your mouth. Now, if you know how sounds are produced, it makes your singing easy. So sometimes you see somebody singing a song with an O in it, and the person goes, oh. By looking at you, I know that even if people heard O, you can sound better than that just by getting your lip posture right. O. If somebody can sing against O and may sound cool, but I know that once the person gets the lip posture right, it sounds better. So appreciation of even how sound is produced helps with your singing. So as for the linguistics, remember I taught a session at the New Year Voice College called the Ling 101, Ling 101 for singers, right? It's something that I look forward to sharing with people all the time because it makes a difference.
Yeah, and I think we need to continue to create a platform for you to come and share this with more people. And I think, like you said, when people know this, it really improves their singing.
Yeah.
I call you transgenerational leader because you've been a leader in your youth, and you're a leader now, and you are building up the next generation. What do you think the places of leadership in building rounded people and generally musicians?
Yeah. It was Prof. Ade who says that leadership is cause, everything else is effect, right? It's so leadership is very, very important. Everything in the world looks out for leadership. Indeed, when you watch footballers play, and you see what they do, you notice that skillful footballers don't do much. They lead the ball where the ball should go. So he knows that if the ball is coming from that direction, if I kicked it this way, it is going to go in this direction. And that for me is leadership. Having an idea what you think the future should be, what kinds of people we need for the future, and what you can do to prepare them for the future, for me, is very, very, very important. And any society that fails to look out for this one fails the next generation, and actually many generations, because once you fail the next generation, they would have failed the leadership, failed to see people lead them, or fail to get the leadership they need. So they themselves will be lacking when the time comes for them to lead. So for me, leadership is very, very important, and especially for young people. For young people, I love myself so much that I want to, if I had a chance, anybody who will have a say in my future, I want to help the person now. So that when the time comes for the person to take care of me in future, the person will be prepared to do it. Sometimes we think that we can leave it to chance. You can't. We can't leave it to chance. And you see it everywhere, even in politics, where people are more interested in what they can get the young people to do for them now, rather than what they can do to help the young people. So, whereas in the past, people had to be trained in speech, in how to talk, how to compose themselves, how to make sure that they live in a way that is respectful. Now, that's not it. If you can insult your way and get me into power, then you can get power. So we are failing the next generation. And for me, that is sad. So for me, wherever I've had the opportunity, I bring young people close. And make them see. For me, that's also important. What kind of example are you showing them? It's not enough for you to tell them, do this. If they see you do it, nobody will tell them to do it. Because, that's how it is. The Bible says, let your light shine, so they may see, not hear. They may see and give glory to your Father who is in heaven.
You came to pick me up for a recording because you heard I was a decent tenor singer.
Yeah.
And then shortly after that, I was entering university and I heard sadly that you were leaving to go and study for a PhD.
Yeah.
Fast forward 4 years and I finished the university, and shortly after that I decided to start Gramophone Ghana. And we roped in now Professor Godfred Owusu. Shortly after that, he also Amando, the popular Amando.
Yeah.
And shortly after that, he also had to leave to study for his PhD. And then he recommended you to come on board as our CEO.
Yeah.
And it's been remarkable having you on board. It's giving us direction. 10 years down the line, when we started, we were fairly young. And so having you shaped our direction and it kept us in check. What have been some of your best experiences and also your lessons and nuggets from leading Gramophone?
Joining Gramophone was people talk about happenstance. It's all one of those things that I didn't even know about Gramophone. I remember one of my students invited me to, I think that would have been the first FOS, but I couldn't make it. I mean, I've been so busy, so I couldn't make it. Then Amando invited me. But as I said, I didn't even know about Gramophone. When I was coming back from the UK, I knew about harmonious chorals. And I was also entertaining the idea of reviving my singing because I'd not been singing for quite a while. So my idea was to see if I could get to sing in Gramophone because I wanted to sing again. So when it was Elizabeth Mills Robertson who first invited me, and I couldn't make it. Then Amando brought me. I found it interesting, something new that was happening. But what I liked about Gramophone, and Gramophone chorus in particular, was the ministerial value of what you did. I think that is the best way to put it. There was no artifice about what you were doing. It was no showmanship at all. So it was this quarterly time of fellowship that I looked forward to, and many people looked forward to, and their testimonies were there, and being somebody who is all about ministry, for me, I felt at home. But I also am the kind that likes frankness. I like to be frank. I like to share my ideas with people who are also open-minded. Say what you want to say. We can disagree without getting angry at each other. And for me, that was important. So when we met as management, everybody had their own opinions, very opinionated people. But you could tell everybody was pulling in the same direction. For me, that was very, very important. And even though I was CEO, or I am CEO, it didn't feel like work, right? I looked forward to the meetings and the pizzas and all that, and KD's funny stuff and all that. It was cool. My wife liked it too, and up until now she's, as you know, enamored by what Gramophone does. So it didn't feel like work for me. It was just like a confluence of many things that I liked. The fact that people were frank, the fact that they were about ministry, the fact that everybody knew that even finances, it wasn't straight that we hold programs, we have to think about how to pay for everything. But we all knew that this was important. We needed to find ways of this, find ways of financing the programs so that we could keep going. For me, it was easy to be part of, and it has always been easy to be part of the.
Yeah, I was telling some of the leaders recently, just before your birthday, that if for nothing at all, the goodwill that having you on board has brought us has been immeasurable and priceless. And we want to express our profound gratitude to you for all that you've done for us, all that you continue to do for us. We are happy to have you as part of us.
Grateful to be part of it.
Yeah. Prof, you mentioned something when you were talking about your background. You spoke about how when you were younger, the choirs used to meet together, to rehearse together, sing together. James Amal says I should ask you a question. And as part of a tradition we are starting here on the Virtuoso Podcast, that the previous guest leaves a question for the next guest to answer. And James Amal's question is, when are we going to see all the choirs or the known choirs or the leading choirs in Ghana mount one platform to minister? I know it's something that you've spoken about in the past. Just share your views. You don't necessarily have to answer the question per se because you don't know when, but about unity of purpose and so on.
When? Okay, so I have a plan for when.
Okay.
There is a song that I wrote with a German friend of mine. He's coming again.
Okay.
It's about the return of the Lord Jesus Christ. And he wrote the music, and we were in my apartment in Lancaster, and he started playing it. He said he and his sister wrote the music together, and there were no words, the lyrics, no. Then he started playing. As soon as he started playing, just hit me like that. And then that evening, I wrote like 6 or so different verses for the song, and we selected out of them. I still have them. And the part of it includes children singing Hallelujah. I think that I'm going to look for money to sponsor a live recording of that. And I would like to have all the choirs in there. So it's something
fantastic.
that I should pull you and Amma together.
Yes.
For us to work on it.
Yeah, that sounds good.
The score is there. I remember showing it to New Love, for example. The score is there. We should do it. We should do it. I think that it will mark the beginning of bigger things. If we can get a very nice auditorium, so I'm thinking about a very good auditorium where we can have all the choirs sing at the same time. That would be beautiful. So, possibly very soon. That is the answer.
Yeah.
And if I'm able to raise the money, I suppose I'll sponsor that one as well. Yeah. But that would be great. Sometimes the impression is created that we are competing. But no, we are not competing. We may be seen as competitors to the extent that we have to hold different programs, but ultimately we sing about the Lord and we sing his story, and ours is to cause the world to see who he is. I remember the song, a verse that says, "See his glory revealed, the Son of the living God. Come and bow at his feet and give him the glory due." I'm looking forward to that one. So, yeah. I hope I've answered the question.
Yes. So, we will do Prof song. We will invite the leading choirs in Ghana to stand on one stage and perform it. That could be the beginning of great things, right?
Yeah.
Prof, it's your turn. It's your turn to leave a question for the next guest.
A question for the next guest. How can we who are involved in music start something that will make sponsorship of programs like the ones Gramophone and Harmonious and
Vocalists.
the whole. How can we find sponsorship for such programs so that the people who lead them don't have to be thinking too much? I mean, sometimes you hear even Christians say we don't sponsor Christian programs. I don't understand.
It's sad.
So how can we find sustainable funding for these programs so that the artists and the directors don't have to struggle too much? They can be who they are meant to be, artistic directors, put together programs. So for me, funding is important. My question is, how can we find sustainable funding for such programs?
That's a good question. I'm sure a lot of my fellow directors will be interested in finding answers. Professor Clement Insedu, APPAH. I think you should tell us about that name. Insedu.
Okay. So I spell mine INSAIDOO. That is like a very common spelling. I've seen some people with NS, so instead of IN, they have NS. The truth is that I've had all kinds of spellings myself because it was not part of the names on my document, birth certificate, and it wasn't part of the names there. So I didn't know how it was spelled. But that is how I was called out to Nanansedu.
Okay.
But I decided to add it to my names.
Okay.
So I didn't know how to spell it, and I never asked my father how it was spelled. So I just spelled it the way I wanted to spell. So at some point I spelled NSEDU. So if you go back to, say, junior secondary, that's what you are likely to find. Until I chanced on that spelling, IN. But when my father died, I got to know actually all those spellings were wrong. It's actually NSADU. Insedu.
10 fingers.
Yes,
or 10 hands.
or 10 hands. Because I got to know that actually there are a lot of names. My father is from Eno, around Kojo Krom. Yeah. So there were a lot of names with a do in it. They have Afadu, something do. And I got to know, okay, actually, my name is Insedu. Because I noticed my father has spelled it that way in some autobiography that he had written. So mine, what you see there, I'm not related to any of those people called Insedu.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's just that I found it and it made its way to my document and now it's part of my name.
Professor Clement, APPAH, thank you for doing this.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure.
For having me. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for watching this episode of the Virtuoso Podcast. We hope you enjoyed our conversation. If you did, kindly leave us a thumbs up, like and subscribe to our channel. It will help us reach more people and bring you more content like this. Thank you and see you next time.